Hey everyone, Dennis Shao here. I wanted to talk about this week's CM World chat. The topic was humor and content marketing. Special guest was Tim Washer. You can follow him here at Tim Washer on Twitter. So the team at CMI, Heymo, put together a Twitter moment of some curated tweets from the chat. So I wanted to do a quick look at some of my takeaways from this chat. So here is the topic, laughter in content marketing. And here's a little bit background on Tim. First question was, what makes humor an effective tactic when used in content marketing? I love these first two answers from Tim. So humor, cutting through the noise and capturing attention. I think that is such a great point. This one I hadn't really thought about, but I think it's pretty powerful. Humor humanizes the brand and shows empathy. I think that's just a great thing about humor is that if you can understand a person's perspective and create humor around it, or let me put it a different way, the humor you create, if it's going to be effective, shows the empathy that you have for a person or a situation. So I think that's a great point from Tim. And then making someone laugh in a business context, the most intimate connection we can make. So both of these are pretty powerful, and it makes me rethink the way I might be able to use humor in business or B2B content marketing. Let's continue down. Don't mean to skip past anyone in particular, but this is an interesting one from Sue. So studies show that humor in ads improves recall. So I know in the chat there's a lot of talk about the Geico ads and some other brands. I'm going to continue on to question 2. Comedy is largely subjective. How can you define what your audience will find funny? I think getting back to Tim's point about empathy, you really need to understand your audience in order for you to figure out how you can create humor that will be funny to that audience. Let's see what Tim says. So start with you and what you find funny. This is a key point here. Make sure humor doesn't come at the expense of a person or group. If your humor actually offends a subset of your audience, I think you've lost. And it's better in that case not to have used humor. Great point here. Humor, comedy, not humor. Comedy comes from pain. So if you can essentially poke fun at some pain points, I think that is powerful for your customers because they're probably experiencing those pain points. And if you use humor, I think it makes those pain points all the more human. All right, let's continue on to question 3. How much humor can brands use? A lot of the folks who chimed in said there's really no limit you can use. Like Jeremy's here. Don't think there's a limit. Martin says there's no quota or limit. Here's a YouTube video of one of Tim's early humor videos with the IBM mainframe. Let's continue on. What was question 4? Question 4 was, are there ways to develop your ability to create like a comedian? Let's see what people say here. So Kristen talks about comedians carrying notebooks to remember to write things down that they observe. Dan recommends going to others, humor experts, to maybe writing them a check. And let's just cover the last one for this video. When it comes to the use, should you vary your approach depending on your medium? So Tim suggests starting by writing funny captions for Instagram for your photos. Amanda notes that different platforms require different expectations. Todd gives an answer that's similar to the one I gave, which is that the approach should be consistent, but the delivery on different mediums can be tailored, but the overall approach should be consistent. So thanks again to CMI, Content Marketing Institute, for their weekly chats, and for Tim Washer this week. Humor and content marketing, I think, is a topic that I love. Cheers.